Okay, welcome to Factoring Trinomials. Today we're going to review multiplying binomials, which most people know as FOIL. And just to get those words straight, a trinomial just means an expression with three terms. And terms are separated by plus and minuses. So for instance, a trinomial can be x squared plus 3x minus 4. That would be considered a trinomial because x squared is one term, 3x is another term, and 4 is another term. So binomials, here we have x plus 3, those are two terms, and in this parentheses, x plus 2, that's another two-term expression, and those binomials are being multiplied by each other. So if you remember FOIL, these are relatively easy to do. We have x times x, which equals x squared, x times 2, which equals plus 2x, 3 times x, which gives us plus 3x, and 3 times 2, which gives us plus 6. And we are always able to combine the two middle terms. So this gives us x squared plus 5x plus 6. Let's do the next one. We have x times x, which is equal to x squared, x times negative 2, which is equal to minus 2x, negative 3 times x, which is equal to minus 3x, and negative 3 times negative 2, which is equal to plus 6. So here we have x squared. We can combine these two terms, which gives us negative 5x plus 6. So let's take a look and examine these trinomials. So we have x squared plus 5x plus 6 and x squared minus 5x plus 6. So the only difference between these two would be the plus and the minus sign. As you notice, the back is always positive, and that's because we multiplied the same sign. We had a positive times a positive, which gives us a positive, and we had a negative times a negative, which gives us a positive. So when we're thinking about factoring trinomials, when we're going backwards, rule number one is that if the last term is positive, that means when you factor back, you should have the same sign in parentheses. So when we see that the last term is positive, we look towards the middle term, and we see that the middle term is positive. If the middle term is positive, that means both of these inside will be positive. And if the middle term is negative, it means both of these will be negative. And as you can see here, we have x minus 3 and x minus 2, both negative, and x plus 3 and x plus 2, both positive. So when we're thinking about factoring a trinomial back to the binomial form, we want to keep that in mind. So the last term, if it's positive, we're going to have the same sign. To know what the sign is, we look at the middle term. Whatever the sign of the middle term is, then that's what goes in parentheses, the same one in each one. Okay, so let's take a peek at the next two. The next two have different signs. We have x plus 3 minus 2. So here we have x squared minus 2x plus 3x minus 6. And again, we can combine the terms that are in the middle. So here we have x squared, a negative 2x and a positive 3x just leaves us with a positive x minus 6. And now let's multiply the other one. We have x squared plus 2x minus 3x minus 6. And again, we combine the middle terms, so we get x squared, positive 2 and a negative 3 make a negative 1, or just a negative x minus 6. So if we look at the last term in both of these, negative 6 and negative 6, both of them are negative. And this is because in each problem here, I had opposite signs. So when we look at the last term and we see a negative, we know automatically that it's going to be opposite signs when we factor the expression. Looking at the middle term will give us a clue as to which one is going to be negative and which one is going to be positive. Here we have a negative x, which means that the larger middle term has to be negative because it's a negative x, so the 3 is a negative number. Here we have a positive x, which means that the larger term is positive. Here, between the 3 and the 2, the 3 is the larger term and the 3 is positive. Now, let's try using some trinomials and seeing how we can factor those. So we have, for example, a squared minus 7a plus 12. One technique to factoring is looking at the first term. To get a squared, the only thing that we can do is multiply a times a. To get 12, we have a couple of options. We could do 3 and 4, or we can do 2 and 6. We can also do 1 and 12. I always recommend going for kind of the middle numbers, so I would probably try 1 and 12 last. But first, let's look at the sign. The sign here is a positive. Positive means that the signs are going to be the same signs. So now that we know it's the same sign, we look at the middle term and we say, oh, it's a negative. So that means when we factor, it's going to be a negative in each parentheses. So now we're looking for what makes a 7. Easily here you can see that 3 and 4 are going to give you the negative 7. So a is going to go here, a is going to go here. 3 and 4 are the only two pairs that will give you a 7. 2 and 6 would give you an 8. 1 and 12 would give you a 13. So 3 and 4 would be our answer here. If we multiply it back, we get a squared minus 4a minus 3a plus 12. And if we combine these two together, we get a squared minus 7a plus 12. Let's try another one. So we have x squared plus 5x minus 14. So here, if we look at the back term, that's negative. Automatically we know that it's going to be opposite signs, negative and positive. If we look towards the middle term, we know that it's going to be the larger number is going to be our positive number. So here, if we factor 14, the factors are 2 and 7, or 1 and 14. For x, the only thing that you can multiply is x times x. So for sure, we know the x goes there and the x goes there. We're looking for a difference of 5, because they have to be opposite signs. 1 and 14 gives us a difference of 13. 2 and 7 can give us a difference of 5, and we're looking for positive 5. Remember, the larger number is going to be positive. So that means 7 has to be positive and 2 is negative. If we multiply it back, we get x times x, which is x squared, x times 7, which is plus 7x, negative 2 times x, which is minus 2x, and negative 2 times 7, which is minus 14. 7x minus 2x is equal to 5x, and our other terms surround it. Voila!